Hello, you're very welcome to today's webinar on how to effectively grow your business using Facebook and Google pay-per-click advertising. This webinar is brought to you by webworks.ie and wwismefb, the Irish Small and Medium Enterprise Association. My name is John McGarry and I have been helping clients grow their business using both Facebook and Google for the last 5 years. So what are we going to cover today? Well, I'm sure, like everybody else, you all hate cold calling, chasing business. This is not really what we want to be doing. Ideally, we would like business to call us, and that's what we want to do today. We want to outline a strategy for you to help you create the situation where businesses call you. This is a unique opportunity, a genuinely unique opportunity for you to get a steal on your competitors. At the core of this strategy is Facebook, and what we can do today you could not do 12 months ago. So this is your opportunity to steal a march on your competitors. As I said, we want potential customers to call you, not have you chasing them. And how are we going to do this? We're going to do this by targeting potential customers early, before they need your products and services. We're going to target them with expertise and information, not with sales pitches and promotions of your products and services. And by doing this, we hope to establish early with your potential clients your expertise and build trust. And that's why they'll come to you, because they know and trust you. Now this graphic here kind of outlines the flow of the strategy we're going to cover in the next 5 or 10 minutes. It might make much sense to you now, but by the end of this webinar, it will make perfectly good sense. What we see on the left-hand side, what we see here on the left-hand side is your kind of inputs into the system, the content that you're going to create. We're going to feed that content through to your website. That content again then will be posted on your Facebook page, linked back to your website, and we're going to use Google Facebook advertising. We're going to use Facebook's pay-per-click advertising to drive your content to your potential audience and hopefully then bring them back to your site. So let's go through this and see how this actually operates. So what are the key ingredients for the success? Well, the first thing is, if we're going to be targeting potential customers, we need to know who they are. So you need to build up a profile of your potential customers. So you just look at your existing customers, break them down into logical groups, and there you'll have your profile of your customers. The more detail you add to that now, the more successful this strategy will be. If we're going to target these potential customers with great content, we need to create that great content, and we'll talk later on about what makes great digital content. And finally, we need a way of delivering this content to your potential customers, and Facebook today will be that. Okay, so great digital content. What makes great digital content? Well, for today's purposes, what doesn't make great content is naked sales pitches. Remember, we're trying to build trust and establish your expertise with potential clients. So naked sales pitches are not what this is about. Now, when I work with clients, sometimes initially they have difficulty thinking, what can they create? What interesting do they have to say? But every time you solve a problem for one of your existing clients, there's a story in there that can be retold and will be of interest to potential customers. If something changes in your industry, you can be the person to bring that information about that change and the consequence of that change to your target audience. Cheat sheets, how-to videos, all this kind of stuff works very well as digital content. You should look upon these digital contents as digital assets that can be used again and again. Now the format for this content can be text, it can be audio files, or it can be video. And in many ways, if you can mix it up, all the better. So that's your content. Who's it for? As we said earlier on, you need to come up with a profile of your customers, the people of your potential customers, the people that you want to target. So what do your customers have in common so that they can be grouped? Like, is there demographics like age, gender, location, where they work? Is there demographics like that can be used? Or do they share interests? Maybe they're parents, maybe they're people who are potentially looking to buy property. What are the common features of your customers? Again, dig deep, think hard about this, define your potential customers. And finally, what we need then, the third stool of this, or the third leg of this stool, is Facebook. Facebook is what we're going to use to deliver your content to your potential customers and then drive them back to your website. Now, Facebook, you may or may not like it, and I need you, if you don't like Facebook, I need you to park that now, because we're not really talking about Facebook, the social engine. For the purposes of today's webinar, that really only reflects the data gathering element of Facebook. For us, what makes Facebook useful is that Facebook basically is a massive profiling engine. It has over 1 billion members, and it has a really detailed profile and growing and getting better all the time profile of its members. And how, you might wonder, how does it get this information? Well, when somebody registers with Facebook, they hand over loads of information. They hand over their name, they hand over their address, their gender, their age. Every time people are on Facebook and they do the kind of things that people do on Facebook, they read posts, like posts, share posts, all this kind of stuff is added to their Facebook profile. If they go and visit a business page, that is added to their Facebook profile. More and more, while people are on the web, away from Facebook, the information about the websites they visit is now filtering back into Facebook and being added to their profile. And finally, in the US, but most likely coming here sometime soon, Facebook is buying information from third parties about people's activities, such as purchasing history, and adding that to their Facebook profile. So the profile that Facebook has on its members is extensive and growing, and we want to leverage that. So the next question, so if Facebook's got a profile of its members, and you hopefully at this stage also have a profile of your members, if you remember a slide or two back, that's what we talked about. And really what we want to do now is try and match them up. So what you see in front of you in this slide is a list of some of the profiling options or headers that Facebook allows you to match against. So when you created the profile of your potential customers, maybe you decided that you wanted to target people with children. You can see their option number 4, their parenting status. Facebook will tell you if people have children 0 to 3, 4 to 8, 8 to 12, 12 to 16. If you decide maybe from the profile you created earlier that you wanted to target farmers, you might want to use, if you look at 3rd from the bottom, 4th from the bottom, magazines people read or books people read. With the magazines, if people were reading, let's say something like the Farmer's Journal, that's an interest that would be on Facebook that you can use to match against your profile of a farmer to use for targeting potential customers. But really, if you can find your customers with the profiling options that Facebook offers you, you're in business. So how are we going to use all this? Well, really, as I said, we're really going to use Facebook initially to create content and to deliver that content to our potential audience. So one of the things I probably should have mentioned earlier on with your great digital content, if it can be entertaining as well as all the other things we mentioned, all the better. So what you see in front of you here is content that I created and added to Facebook. On the left-hand side of the picture, you see, with the small picture of Miss Doyle from Father Ted, you see an article on my website about remarketing. Now, remarketing is a very successful marketing strategy, and we'll have a webinar on it later, a standalone independent webinar on it later. But I created a page on my website about it. Now, I wanted to promote that on Facebook, so I created a post on Facebook, and I used the picture of Miss Doyle that you see there to try and attract people's attention. My target audience for this was small business owners in the UK who also like Father Ted, and you'd be surprised to hear there's about 20,000 of them. So I just wanted to catch their attention with the Mrs. Doyle thing to bring them in to my article on remarketing. So that's what I did. So that you can see my post was created on Facebook, and that post, if clicked, would bring people back to my website. But that's no good. It's just sitting there. I have a good few likes on my website or on my Facebook page, but really I wanted to reach, that 20,000 people, a much broader audience. So I needed to turn my post into an ad, and that's what I did. This is where you use Facebook's pay-per-click advertising system, where basically it takes your post and the targeting that you give it, as I said, in this case, small business owners who like Father Ted, and it pushes your Facebook post out into their news feeds as an ad. And if they then click on that ad, click on that newsfeed post, they're then brought to my website. Now, I said this point is clear. You need to understand you're now paying Facebook for this facility, but it's very cost effective in my experience. And now, Rome wasn't built in a day and all that kind of stuff. You want to repeat this over and over again. Trust and expert status are not established overnight. So really, you want to be pushing content into this system repeatedly and just trying to establish your credentials with your target audience. I read an interesting article recently where back in 2011, the average amount of times people need to see somebody's content was 2 times before they took the action that was required. By the time we got to 2014, that had risen to between 11 and 15 touches of people's content before people would take the action that you want them to do. Most of that is down to mobile. People need to see, because people have so much access to information, if you're trying to sell your service to them, you need to touch base with them. You need to drive content to them on multiple occasions. So again, this is a kind of a recap of the graph. This is the graphic you saw earlier on, and let's just recap again. As you can see, so we have our content, you know, be it video, be it text or audio, whatever it is, and you're putting that on your website. You're then putting posts on your Facebook page, your business Facebook page that is linked back to your website, promoting that content. You then use Facebook's profiling engine and its advertising platform to drive that content into the news feed of your target audience on Facebook, and then hopefully they find that interesting. They click on them on the newsfeed articles, the posts, and that drives them to your website. And again, just keep repeating that process. So what to do next? If you feel that this is a strategy that can work for you, you've got two options. If you feel you can do it yourself, but maybe you could do it a little bit of Facebook training, then contact Liz at ISME. They run excellent training days in relation to Facebook. If maybe you're looking for a more done-for-you solution, you can contact me, jmcgary at webworks.ie, to arrange a consultation. Normally our consultations are €50, but if you mention ISME, the consultation is free. So listen, my name is John McGarry from WebWorks. I'd like to thank you for your attention today, and I hope that you can take some executable strategies from this presentation.